Yes. Oh, this is for you. Okay. Okay. You've never had a cooker? Listen. I've never had one either. I just bought one. That's it? Is that it?
I think David. Yeah. So that's perfect. That's that right here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor and privilege to call the Third International Conference on the Lake Chad Basin region to order. Excellency, the Permanent Representative of the Republic of Chad to the United Nations, Ali Alfe Mustafa, Excellency, the Permanent Representative of Nigeria to the United Nations, Ambassador Tijani Muhammad Bande, Excellency, the Permanent Representative of Niger Republic to the United Nations, Ambassador Abu Abadi, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. The present humanitarian crisis in the Lake Chad region is one of the most challenging and complex in the world for the implementation of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Agenda 2030 and the African Union Agenda 2063. The current humanitarian crisis, the shrinking of the Lake Chad, the underdevelopment of the Lake Chad region, among others, inform the need to sustain the effort towards engaging the challenges and opportunities in the Lake Chad Basin region. This necessitates the creation of platforms to bring together governments of the Lake Chad Basin region, the private sector, non-governmental organizations, research institutions, and civil society groups in order to provide the necessary linkages, identify the existing gaps, and enhance cooperation between state and non-state actors in providing creative and sustainable solutions to the challenges facing the Lake Chad Basin region. In the effort to explore how to deliver effective and sustainable multi-stakeholder and multi-sector responses to the challenges of the Lake Chad Basin region, the first international conference titled Sustainable Development Goals Implementation in the Lake Chad Basin region was launched under the leadership of the Permanent Mission of Nigeria to the United Nations in New York in collaboration with the Permanent Missions of Cameroon, Niger, and Chad. It was held at the African Union Observer Mission to the United Nations in September 2018. The huge and active participation of the private sector, civil society, and NGOs from different parts of the world was not only encouraging, but the conference also agreed in its outcome that there is need to hold the next conference in the Lake Chad Basin region itself. This led to the second international conference on the Lake Chad region titled Delivering Action and Impact with Social and Technological Innovation. This was held in N'Djamena, the capital of the Republic of Chad, in April 2019 in collaboration with the Lake Chad Basin Commission. At the N'Djamena conference, it was decided that the third international conference series titled UN System and Non-State Actors Exploring New Ways of Cooperation in Times of Climate Change be held at the United Nations headquarters in New York. This two-day conference, 5 and 6 of August 2019, will examine the complex humanitarian issues, climate-related fragility risk, innovative resource mobilization, connecting local action with global resources, capacity building for multi-stakeholder partnership, and deployment of cross-cutting technologies for accelerating the implementation of the SDGs in the Lake Chad Basin region. We expect the outcome of this conference will lead to the next conference in the series that will be sustained until the UN 2030 and the African Union Agenda 2063 eventually materialize. In this regard, no effort is too little, and we shall not rest on our oars. And we have the honor to have in our midst the ambassadors of the lectured Basin countries, whom I have the singular honor to invite to deliver their opening remarks this morning. Without further ado, I now invite His Excellency, the Permanent Representative of the Republic of Chad to the United Nations, Ambassador Ali Alfi Mustafa, to deliver his remarks. Your Excellency, you have the floor. Wow. No, we'll do that. It's in the process.
Merci beaucoup, Dr Modibo. Monsieur le Président de la séance, Messieurs les ambassadeurs, chers collègues, Madame la Vice-Présidente de l'Université,
Vice President of the University of Oklahoma, distinguished guests and friends, it is a real pleasure that I'm part of this third international conference on the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goal in the Lake Chad Basin region. I'm very flattered because on April 29th and 30th of this year, last year, Chad was hosting the second international conference, which was organized under the auspices of the First Lady of Chad, Her Excellency Madame Hindi Debi Itno, and her association, the Great Heart Foundation, which leads on a daily basis action to reduce vulnerabilities in the communities, and especially the most the poorest one. I would like, in regard to the contribution that this platform brings for the conference, the efforts in favor of populations, congratulate the initiators and wish the sustainability of its action by associating even more civil societies, knowledge centers, and the public sectors, as is clearly explained in the regional strategy of stabilization, rehabilitation, and resilience of the zones of like Chad. Ladies and gentlemen, the region mobilized indeed, for several years the attention of the international community because we have a very severe humanitarian crisis that are created by the climate change, insecurity, and the development of violent extremism. The civil populations, which are the main victims, are attacked on a daily basis and have to migrate against their will, and they have to be taken care of as well as can be done by humanitarian organizations that have more and more limited resources. We don't need to go over that situation in greater detail. Everybody knows about that, and we have many interventions in this area. The Chad, as well as the other countries, 3 other countries in the region, is very concerned about the multiplicity of the challenges and the security, humanitarian, and ecological level in this region, while increasing its national effort to get control again of this area affected by violent extremism. My country is really following the regional strategy of stabilization, rehabilitation, and resilience, and which through its 9 pillars, its implementation mechanism, and the coherent definition of the role and responsibility of all the stakeholders constitutes an innovative response and a holistic response to the crisis in the region. This strategy is perfectly aligned with the SDGs and also aligned on the 2063 agenda of the African Union. In that sense, we can hope that the neighboring countries, development partners, donors, and civil societies and the private sector should work together in order to relaunch the development and growth in an area which has actually remarkable potential. I would like to see this opportunity to pay tribute to the convening in Niamey on July 16 to 18 of this year, the second meeting of the Forum of Governors of the Lac Chad Basins, and the outcome document strengthened again the need for transborder cooperation to stabilize and strengthen peace and have a sustainable development. It's as a main instrument for the implementation of the regional strategy, the Forum of Governors, which my government supports, is a unique space for sharing experiences, good practices, and information. The implementation during the second conference in Niamey of the Fund for Stabilization of the Lac Chad region is a new step to materialize the commitments of our partners, and we are very happy about that. Ladies and gentlemen, I've talked at length about the regional strategy because it covers all of the issues that affect and are part of the crisis that affect the Lac Chad region. Our conference today and tomorrow, through its themes, will feed the global debate and opens new perspective, in particular because it associates new actors in particular universities. I'm very happy to see that for our agenda, we have within our agenda we're going to talk about the water and for the shrinking of the lake and all the interventions which are aiming at relaunching the economic activity in the region will only succeed if the protection of waters of the lake, will make significant progress. In that sense, we need to congratulate the UN system and more specifically the commitment of the Secretary General of the United Nations, who will support the member states and the region of the Lac Chad Basin because they will invest in protecting water in this area. I would like, in conclusion, to thank all the partners that are investing in important resources and their efforts to concretize and materialize the efforts in the area of peace and security. Our country, despite their meager resources, dedicate important financial resources to reduce the weight of the vulnerabilities, to fight against extremisms, and to improve the living conditions of the population. This goal is within reach, but all of the interventions that are based on coherence and conviction. I would like to thank you for your kind attention.
The permanent representative of the Republic of Chad to the United Nations for his remarks. I now invite His Excellency, the permanent representative of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to the United Nations, Ambassador Tijani Muhammad Bande, to deliver his opening remarks. You have the floor, Excellency.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Let me, in the interest of time, because most of the issues I wanted to emphasize have been emphasized, raise just a few issues. And I know my brother, Ambassador Abadi, will also add his voice, and also our sister from the University of Oklahoma. Let me state that this is we thank everyone for this participation, and I do this also on behalf of the missions of Chad, Cameroon, Niger, and Nigeria, because the permanent missions have agreed to work together to continue to engage on issues to do with Lake Chad. In the particular instance, it is mainly to follow up on agreement to continue to raise the issues of importance to the region, given the crisis that have bedeviled the region lately. And to, in this particular instance, also thank the University of Oklahoma for partnering with us in this matter. Before then, we've had real partnerships with NGOs around the region and beyond. In particular, we also had, and again we thank the governments of Canada, Germany, Sweden, Norway, Netherlands, for their support to the global efforts to deal with the crisis in the Lake Chad region, the nature of which has been well understood. I would want to stop here by welcoming you all to this meeting and also looking forward to really useful engagements as we find ways to see how regions in crisis, like the Lake Chad region, especially complex crisis in that, can still be assisted as the region assists itself to achieve the SDGs, which is our agreement by 2030 that this should be done. I thank you greatly for the privilege to be here. Thank you.
I thank His Excellency, the Permanent Representative of Nigeria, for his remarks. I now invite His Excellency, the Permanent Representative of Niger Republic to the United Nations, Ambassador Abu Abadi, to deliver his remarks. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Monsieur le modérateur,
Mr. Moderator, the Ambassador, Permanent Representative of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the President-elect of the 74th General Assembly of the United Nations, Mr. Ambassador of Chad, Mr. Vice President, Madam Vice President of the University of Oklahoma, Mr. Ambassadors, dear colleagues, dear participants, dear partners, I would like to start by saluting the organization of this meeting, the initiative of the permanent mission of Nigeria and the international community for the paying attention to this grave situation in the Lake Chad region. I'm happy that this situation has been associated with the event that is organized today. Mr. Moderator, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we will not say enough, and this has been told in the last sessions, that the Lake Chad region is living under a continuous threat since 1973, caused by drought, the advancement of desert, and the demographic pressure, the growth. Everything threatens the existence of this lake, on which the life of about 40 million people relies. In my opinion, everything has been said by specialists on the challenges that must be met, which go from the loss of resources in the Basin, in the Lake Chad, and the pressure that it is facing, and there is also another challenge that is confronting the countries that share this lake, and this is the challenge of terrorism practiced since several years by the different factions of Boko Haram, destruction of infrastructure, basically educational infrastructures. We have paid a great deal and a great price for this. Mr. Moderator, if the question of reaching the objectives of the sustainable development is one that is preoccupying our minds today. It is not because the states have not worked and have not acted, but maybe because of the dimension and the multiplicity of the challenges that we have to face require more means and more resources in order to fight or to eradicate the roots of the drama that the Lake Chad region knows. The Security Council, through Resolution 2349, this led to a great advancement. However, the Commission of the Lake Chad region has conceived and put together a strategy of implementation around 9 pillars. Huge efforts have been deployed by the states of the region. A lot has been done to illustrate the situation that is we have today. Madam Amina Mohammed said the security measures and the military operations have shown that they have limits. However, there will be no sustainable peace without sustainable development. The gains of development will always be in question if there is no sustainable peace. In the Lake Chad region, there are many crises. The success of our action depends on the coordination and the cooperation between the different aspects, the military, the development aspects, and the economic aspects to fight against poverty. And in Niamey, recently, the meeting of the governors of the region of the Lake Chad region has referred to this. This meeting has allowed the adoption of a development program that covers at the same time the aspect of humanitarian assistance, the building of educational infrastructure, and the reinforcement of the societies that have been affected by the actions of Boko Haram. I think nothing will be done in a sustainable way without taking into account the rights of women and girls, to give them the fundamental rights that have been violated constantly. The Lake Chad region is one of the actions that have been launched tackled by the African Union meetings. I would like to salute all of the partners for their support to our country. The project of the Lake Chad, supported by the UNESCO, it's a multidisciplinary, a multi-sectorial project, and we salute it, and we congratulate everyone who's working on it. In order to succeed in our strategy, there needs to be a coordination of all elements participating in this effort. The awareness of the civil society, the youth, is necessary to win the double battle of security and development in the Lake Chad region. In this regard, my country, the Niger, is available and to do everything that it can in this aspect. I thank you very much for your attention.
I thank His Excellency, the Permanent Representative of Niger Republic to the United Nations, for his remarks. Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, we also have on the high table the representative of the University of Oklahoma in the person of Dr. Belinda Bisco. The University of Oklahoma is one of the key co-organizers of this conference. Dr. Bisco is not only a researcher and practitioner in designing and conceptualizing technical assistance model, but she is also the interim senior associate vice president for the outreach at the University of Oklahoma. I now give the floor to Dr. Bisco for her remarks. Dr. Bisco, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. The University of Oklahoma Outreach, one of the conference co-organizers, welcomes all of you to the United Nations for this pivotal two-day conference on understanding and addressing the complexities of challenges and solutions affecting the crises of the Lake Chad Basin region, including the countries involved and, most importantly, the people suffering from the worsening conditions. Our team of experts is honored to participate in this key forum. We're also proud to be a member of the United Nations Academic Impact, also known by its acronym UNAI. This organization is a United Nations initiative to align institutions of higher education, scholarship, and research with the United Nations and with each other, which our university stands for. We are honored to be a member of UNAI as we engage with researchers and practitioners alike, linked hand in hand to address and bring attention to some of the direst situations in the world. We thank you for your inclusion and participation in this key forum and your expressed commitment to seek jointly more effective solutions to the devastating crises in the region. Other countries have similar crises worldwide, but we all know that our shared values, beliefs, and hunger for education unite us all. I especially thank this morning His Excellency Ambassador Michel Tomo Monthe, Permanent Representative of Cameroon to the UN, His Excellency Ambassador Ali Alife Mustafa, Permanent Representative of Chad to the UN, His Excellency Ambassador Tijoni Muhammad Bande, Permanent Representative of Nigeria to the UN, and His Excellency Ambassador Abu Abadi, Representative of the Niger Republic to the UN. Thanks to all of you for your significant contributions today and to your countries and the world. I also want to extend a special thank you to Dr. Ibrahim Modibo Umar, Permanent Mission of Nigeria to the UN. Without your support on the part of the Nigerian mission and your United Nations expertise and strategizing, this conference would not be complete. Thanks so much for everything. Words truly are not sufficient to express our gratitude. I also want to thank country leaders, diplomats, public-private sector, and international leaders, university foundation leaders, and to many others joining us today. Again, thanks for your participation and for sharing your wisdom, insights, and valuable experiences as a part of this forum on the Lake Chad Basin region. As I look out on the assembly before us today, I am so impressed with the focus, effort, and commitment of the UN and UN-related programs, agencies, and the international community committed to programs for relief in the Lake Chad region, beginning with the Secretary General's leadership, programs and commitments, the Lake Chad Basin Commission, you, and the countries in the region. Because of those involved and committed, we are better prepared to assess regional needs and to focus on a set of collaborative and scalable solutions during our next 2 days, which we know will help us move forward. As a university, we are honored to be here and to play a part in facilitating the formation of new partnerships to achieve transformational outcomes. These partnerships will create the actionable strategies to produce the changes necessary to address effectively the crises of the region. Our agenda employs a research-based, high-impact technical assistance model to address the purpose and objectives of this conference as noted in your program. During the conference session and activities, our distinguished speakers, panelists, and you will assess the complex needs of the Lake Chad Basin in terms of SDG attainment and water, climate trends, agricultural practices, policies, education, and funding. We will apply this high TA model as one approach, while there are many, towards helping us to reflect on the equally complex task of forming collaborative partnerships, which are more likely to help us achieve positive outcomes than any of us can achieve individually or even within our own organizational capacities. The timing of this gathering could not be better. We expect that Nigeria's presidency of the United Nations General Assembly during its 74th session beginning in September 2019 will galvanize the adoption of innovative approaches such as ours on how the UN and its ecosystem of traditional and new partners can deliver in a knowledge and data-based manner sustainable development action and outcomes in the Lake Chad region. We look forward to your engagement during the next 2 days and in the years ahead in service to the peoples of the Lake Chad Basin region. So many hands have touched this conference that I cannot begin to call these out individually. Instead, I will simply ask everyone who has been involved with the helping, organizing, presenting, and assisting in any way to know that we are eternally grateful and we thank you for your support and commitment to this work. I will close my remarks with a familiar African proverb which goes like this: to go fast, go alone; to go far, go together. We are here today to go far. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I thank the interim Senior Associate Vice President for Outreach at the University of Oklahoma for her remarks. Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of this introductory segment, which sets the tone for the two-day discussions. I wish to invite your excellencies. Yeah, we have now come to the end of the introductory segment, which sets the tone for the two-day discussions. I wish to invite your excellencies to take your leave, and thereafter we will rearrange the podium for the next session. Thank you.